Hey everyone, it's me, Dr. Whimsy, your favorite naturopath and frugal living person. So today we are celebrating the beginning of 2019. We've given our word of the year, the word that we're going to be focusing on that's going to hopefully hail in a great year. I chose the word love. I'd like more love in my life, wouldn't we all? But I chose two other words as well, which were mastery and discipline. Last year's word was mastery, where I was really going to give it my all to master my profession. And then I also wanted to add discipline, because sometimes I'm a little lax when it comes to discipline. So we did our word of the year, which was love. I chose two additional, discipline and mastery. And now for January 1st, 2018, we're talking about our resolutions for the environment, commitment to healing the planet, really going into 2019 with a lot more commitment about what we can do to help heal the environment. We can all do our part. So here are simple things that you can do that will save you money and actually help the planet at the same time. Isn't that lovely? So number one is to reduce plastic in your home. That is the number one thing that is simple, it's easy to do, and it's something to always be mindful of. When you're going to the store, just try and remember to bring reusable bags if you can, so that you're not going to be grabbing any plastic paper or plastic bags, excuse me. Plastic, as we all know, doesn't break down. Massive amounts of plastic are winding up in our oceans and our seas, and it's become really dangerous for wildlife. Also, a lot of people don't know that plastic was developed, it was discovered when scientists were creating estrogen, birth control pills. So when they were trying to make birth control pills, they ended up accidentally creating this substance that they called plastic. So the concern is that some plastics break down and create estrogen-like substances. And now there's some concerns when we heat these substances. Is that carcinogen? Does it put us at risk for certain types of cancers if we heat certain types of plastic? If they break down and wind up in the watershed, is that going to have an effect on the health of wildlife? We think definitely persistent organic pollutants, certain things that are winding up in the watershed, are having an effect on the health of wildlife. And definitely plastic is becoming a health concern for the wildlife as well. So just be mindful to reduce the amount of plastic that you're taking home. Also, when you go shopping, just be aware if a container is in plastic versus being in paper. What I've also started to do, she has to say hello. Yes, we love you, we acknowledge you. Hi. So what I've started to do is be aware if something's in plastic before I purchase it. Can I get the same thing in paper? Also, when I'm buying vegetables, we put it in plastic. All that plastic that we have to gather up for vegetables. So what you can do is you can just save it, the plastic that you have currently in your home from buying vegetables, save it and then just reuse it when you go shopping. Or sometimes Whole Foods, if you shop at Whole Foods, sometimes they have deals. They're still a fortune though. They have paper that you can put the vegetables in if you're trying to get away from plastic. But really the goal is to get off the plastic as much as we can for 2019. Number two was to be careful about food waste. It costs a lot of money for us to throw out food. If you're really strapped and you're trying to cut food costs, but you've been watching this channel and you know how I feel about nutrient-dense food, I don't want people getting sick buying garbage at the 99-cent store. Much better to spend a little extra and eat the nutrient-dense food. The way to get around any concerns you have about the cost is to buy the best quality foods you can for the budget you're on and then waste nothing. You know, plan your meals, but then also plan your shopping around a set amount of things that you're going to be making. So we really want to reduce just throwing stuff out. So tip number two is just mindfulness about waste. I'm going to give you one example about mindfulness of waste. that's true in my life, and that is that every morning I wake up and I make my nutrient-dense smoothie. I've done videos on nutrient-dense smoothies, but what I noticed is that the nutrient-dense smoothie that I was making was really large, and I would end up wasting about a quarter of it. I would drink, you know, 2/3 of it, and then the other third I would just pour it out. That's money down the drain. It's not good. Anytime we overconsume, it's bad for ourselves and it's bad for the environment. Mother Earth is not happy when we live like this, and we aren't going to be happy. So a good measurement of how well the earth is doing can be determined by how well human beings are doing economically. If we are over-consuming, if we're wasting, if we're broke, that's probably not going to be good for the environment. But if we live simply and frugally and only take what we need and we recycle, it's going to be better for our pocketbooks, and then surprisingly, it's also really good for the environment. So simple living equals good for the environment. So be careful about waste. If you are going to make a meal for 4 people, portion it out so there's as minimal waste as possible. That way you can get the nutrient-dense food without the waste. For me, I just started reducing the shakes I was making, the recipe, by about 1/3. And then I drink the whole thing. And then, eureka, I save, you know, 10, 20 bucks a month. Because that's how much I was flushing down my drain every day. You know, 20 bucks a month from stuff that I had thrown out. Okay, enough about that. Number 3, buy used whenever you can. This is one of the best things that you can do for the environment, is to just buy used stuff. You are basically recycling it by repurposing it or reusing it. So that means checking out Goodwill, checking out penny savers. My sister lives in Reno, Nevada, and they have the most amazing penny saver. They have the most amazing discount clothing stores. Sometimes, I swear, I fly to Reno just so I can go shopping at the used. I know, it makes no sense. No, I go to visit friends and family, and we always stop by the penny savers, and I get myself some really nice stuff. So recycle, recycle, recycle. When I had to buy new stuff for my kitchen, I got stuff discount, but I also went to Goodwill, Savers, to all these different places, Council Thrift, and I got stuff recycled, and I just did it that way. Great way to be good on the environment, especially when it comes to clothes, because some clothing is made from things like plastic. These cheap synthetic clothes you can get on Amazon. They're made in China. It's an environmental disaster. You wear it once or twice, it falls apart, and then it winds up in the landfill. It would be better to buy a gently used, high-quality piece of clothing, take good care of it, than constantly be buying cheap clothing that's going to fall apart, that's made from synthetics that are horrible for the environment, wind up in the landfill. And some of the threads, some of these microfibers are actually also winding up in the fish we eat. And again, we don't need to be eating this stuff. We don't need to be polluting the earth with it. So try and buy used when you can. Number 4 is to repurpose. Repurpose everything. So say, for example, you have a cotton shirt. You can always rip it up and turn it into rags, and then those rags can be used to clean things. Those rags can be used, if you were like me as a child, I used to curl my hair with rags. The point is that if something breaks, see if you can't find another purpose for it. My mother used to love the broken ceramic cups, and then she would do artwork in her garden. She had quite a prolific garden, and she would just create art from broken ceramic and whatnot. So she understood this idea. The Victorians, and even before that, the Regency period, if you look at the writings, the Frugal Housewife, written by Chilton, I believe her name was, she talked about this importance of repurposing everything. If you can get the waste down in your home and start reusing things, if you can find a purpose for it, or if you can find a substitute for what it is you already need, you'll be saving money, and Mother Earth will thank you for it. Number 5, I've talked about this also, Cleaning products that are homemade, that are made from natural products, are really a great way to go. They can be made from, you know, anything you have in the house. Baking soda and vinegar are a really great start. Boric acid, you can buy plain boric acid at the 99-cent store. Using natural products whenever you can is good for the environment. It's cheap, it doesn't really cost very much money, and the environment's going to be happy if you do. The sixth thing was to not overuse products. To not overuse products. And what I mean by that when I say do not overuse products, I mean when you're just using too much of it. So say, for example, you have to wash your hair, you have to clean something, and instead of using 1 teaspoon, you decide to use 1 tablespoon and then repeat and use another tablespoon and then repeat and use another tablespoon. Or say, for example, you're washing dishes or you're doing laundry and you end up using far too much laundry soap. So one of the best ways, again, to save money is to simply not overuse things. It sounds bizarre and it sounds like, come on, this is just pennies. But believe it or not, when you measure out and you're only using a teaspoon of hand soap, or I use bar soap, cheaper and more effective. If you're only using a little bit of shampoo, a little bit of soap, those pennies add up over time. And again, it's good for the environment, because if you're putting that stuff into the environment, less is better. Try and use the biodegradable soaps if you can. And finally, number 7, we want to talk to people about reducing their consumption of animal products. It takes a tremendous amount of energy for us to be able to enjoy animal products, and animal products are not necessarily the best use of the environment. For example, it takes tons and tons and tons of water just to produce 1 pound of beef. So while we don't tell people they have to be 100% vegan, we do tell people that be mindful of reducing animal products. First off, it's better for your health if you do, and it's also better for the environment. So say, for example, you're making something like a turkey spaghetti sauce. This is something that I did recently. All you have to do, if the recipe calls for 1 pound of turkey meat, you just cut it in half to 50%, and then the other half you fill with frozen green beans or peas and carrots, green beans and carrots, whatever you like, can be added, and then you've stretched the meat by 50%, you've reduced consumption by 50%, so you've created a cheaper meal that's more nutrient dense, you've given your family some animal product that they like, and they're happy, you're happy, you've cut the cost, you've improved their health, and you've taken a burden off of Mother Earth by not putting so much of a effort, too much of a burden on the planet to be producing all of that animal consumption. Better for your heart health, better for diabetes prevention because you're replacing it with vegetables, better for the environment because it's much easier for the environment to grow green beans than it is to be able to grow beef or turkeys. All right, there you have it. 7 simple tips for how to improve the environment while saving money. All right, there you have it. 7 tips for things that you can do that'll save you a little bit of money, but will also help the environment as well. There are 7 things that I'm going to try and incorporate in my life in 2019 so that hopefully my home is a little bit less wasteful and a little bit more frugal. I want to thank you for watching this quick video of Broke Aristocrats. Be sure and share, like, subscribe. Tell me what you're doing to take care of yourself without breaking the bank. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.